Buonasera a tutti, Presidente della Repubblica, Presidente della Corte Costituzionale, Vice Ministro degli Affari Esteri, Carol Monno, President of UNIDROIT, Secretary General of UNIDROIT, and Excellencies, Ambassadors, representatives of multilateral organizations, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to take the floor today in my capacity as President of the General Assembly of UNIDROIT and to do so on behalf of all member states. We gather in Rome on a date of rare significance. 100 years ago, on April 20th, 1926, a project of remarkable vision took institutional form. Today, we celebrate not merely an organization, but the endurance of an idea. The idea that law can bring nations closer, that legal certainty can enlarge freedom, and that cooperation, when expressed through rules accepted by all, can be a force for peace, trust, and prosperity. Because the law is not just an expression of civilization, but in a way, it represents civilization itself. There are very few international organizations that can claim a century of active service, and fewer still in the field of the international rule of law. This is why this centennial is no ordinary anniversary. It is an event of genuine historical import. What makes this anniversary even more extraordinary is that UNIDROIT has never ceased to function. It was created under the auspices of the League of Nations and reestablished in 1940 under its statute, yet through that institutional transformation, through world wars, ideological confrontation, decolonization, economic upheaval, and profound geopolitical change, its activity endured. A century ago, its founders spoke of the need to harmonize and coordinate the private law across states. Harmonized and compatible private law rules foster international trade, strengthen legal certainty, reduce transaction costs, facilitate access to credit, and makes cross-border investment more secure. In a globalized world, they provide private citizens with certainty in the matters which affect them the most. In other words, these rules help economies grow because they help trust travel across borders. Power may open markets, only law can keep them working, and that is why UNIDROIT matters to all of us. It does not merely produce legal norms and text, it helps build the legal infrastructure on which cooperation and prosperity depend. Here in Rome, and the President of UNIDROIT referred to this fact before, the city where one of the greatest legal traditions of humanity was first shaped, we are reminded that law has never been merely a set of rules. As President Mattarella reminded us in Salamanca, Spain, a few weeks ago, la caduta dell'Imperio Romano d'Occidente non interruppe completamente la sua continuità. Il diritto romano continua a svolgere la sua funzione regolatrice, contribuendo così a sviluppare una tradizione giuridica comune destinata a rinascere nei secoli successivi. UNIDROIT also matters because of what it has become. Today it brings together 65 member states drawn from 5 continents, from different legal, economic, and political systems, and from a wide range of cultural traditions. Taken together, those member states represent roughly 3/4 of the world's population and more than 90% of world GDP. That is not a regional club, and it's not a narrow legal circle. It is a truly global organization. And its global relevance reaches well beyond its formal memberships, because its instruments, principles, model laws, and conventions are read, used, and relied upon across jurisdictions far broader than its institutional borders. As member states, we take particular pride in the character of this institution. UNIDROIT has been so helpful precisely because its mandate is technical, practical, and non-political, in the best sense of those terms. It does not ask countries to abandon their legal identities. It does not promote conformity. It brings together governments, judges, scholars, practitioners, and market actors to solve concrete legal problems with seriousness and intellectual honesty. That method has been one of its greatest strengths. It explains why its work commands respect across different legal families and political systems. And it explains why, even in difficult international moments, UNIDROIT remains a forum where cooperation is possible. Its record speaks for itself. Flagship instruments, such as the Cape Town Convention, show that disciplined legal harmonization can achieve more secure rights, greater confidence for creditors, reduced borrowing costs, and better conditions for the extension of finance, including in developing markets. Alongside that, UNIDROIT's broader body of work has helped states modernize their legal frameworks and help economic actors operate across borders with greater predictability. And in this context, the question of language is not a secondary matter, but a central element of accessibility and inclusion. The initiative led by Spain with support of Spanish-speaking countries, of the Spanish-speaking community to promote the use of Spanish not only as an official language but also as a working language of UNIDROIT has both symbolic and practical significance. Spanish is a global language, the third native language in the world, spoken by nearly 500 million people worldwide, and its fuller incorporation into the organization's daily work will help bring UNIDROIT's instruments, principles, and legal thinking closer to an even wider global community. Esta iniciativa es, en última instancia, un ejemplo concreto de cómo los Estados miembros pueden hacer UNIDROIT más inclusivo, más representativo y más eficiente en su mandato y contribuir al sostén del sistema multilateral a través de una de sus condiciones esenciales, el multilingüismo. Porque, excelencias, sin multilingüismo no hay multilateralismo. This point is especially important today. We live in a moment in which multilateralism is under strain. And yet, as His Majesty King Felipe VI stated in his address to the United Nations General Assembly in its 80th session, rules are the voice of reason applied to international relations. The best defense we have against the law of the strongest. A world without rules is uncharted territory. In a fragmented world, institutions like UNIDROIT remind us that sovereign states do not become weaker by cooperating under law. They become more capable of shaping their future together. A recent UNIDROIT address described the organization as a community of peers. That is a wise description. We are countries of different sizes, different histories, different legal traditions, and different geographies. Yet, within UNIDROIT, we meet as partners in a shared enterprise to make law more coherent, commerce more secure, and cooperation more productive. That is something worth valuing and worth defending. Allow me also, on behalf of all member states, to express deep gratitude to Italy. UNIDROIT's origins are inseparable from the vision first advanced in Italy and from the hospitality that Italy has extended to the organization throughout the last century. Rome has not only hosted UNIDROIT, it has given it a home, a setting, which we see a wonderful setting, and a continuity that has become part of its identity. It is therefore especially meaningful that we mark this centennial here in the presence of the President of the Republic, to whom we express our highest appreciation for honoring this occasion with his presence. But the centennial worthy of the name cannot be limited to remembrance. It must also be a moment of direction. The most compelling idea expressed in UNIDROIT's own centennial reflection is that this anniversary should not be mere self-celebration. The future will require of UNIDROIT to remain what it has always been, rigorous, useful, and independent, but also to become even more global, more accessible, and more effective in its implementation. The future will require of UNIDROIT to respond to technological transformation, sustainability, access to credit, agricultural development, dispute resolution, and the many new frontiers where private law and economic life now meet. And that future should be broader still. To the nations that are not yet members of UNIDROIT, we invite you to join us, join this endeavor. Join because your legal experience will enrich the work of the organization. After 100 years, the lesson before us is simple. The rule of law does not sustain itself. The law must be studied, drafted, debated, translated, adopted, implemented, and defended. And this requires institutions, it requires expertise, it requires patience, and it requires states willing to believe that legal cooperation is not only an important matter, but one of the essential conditions of peaceful and prosperous international life. May UNIDROIT continue its second century to unite nations through law, to strengthen international cooperation, to foster international investment and economic growth, and to prove that even in an age of division and polarization, common rules remain possible and common purpose remains essential. So happy anniversary, felicidades UNIDROIT, and let's meet, as the President say, 100 years hence. Thank you very much.